Welcome everyone. In today's episode we will be discussing the London Expos of the 1800s or the London World Fairs. You will often find a lot of answers right on your doorstep once you look into it and actually research. The urban landscape of London has been continually built on for thousands of years. Because of this, the founding narratives of London as a city of Celtic Britons and Druids has completely changed. Before the Great Fire of London occurred in 1666, London was a very different place from looking over the pictures or paintings that captured it. There seems to be a much more peaceful and tranquil surroundings to it. There were certainly numerous spires which display architectural influences from Great Tartaria, and some very unique architecture which looked as if it could have been designed to attune into the telluric etheric energy in the atmosphere. However, we can only speculate about this and go with the information that is presented to us, as there are very few pictures you can actually find about information before the Great Fire of London occurred, as there was no photography and obviously probably a lot of things were burnt down during that time. But when you look at the official story, you will begin to find a number of holes within it. The very fact that the fire started in a bakery and burned down most of the city of London is very suspect. The first ever official World Fair was held in Prague in 1791, and they seem to continue in Paris up to around 1850, with a few other locations such as New York and Birmingham, which is just north of London, in 1849. But some of the most fascinating World Expos or World Fairs have happened right here in the United Kingdom, and especially in London. The most famous one, of course, is the Great Exhibition of 1851, which was the benchmark to the World Fairs and often referred to as the first. But again, when you look into this, you begin to realise some very strange parts to its history. And the way people have just settled for it is actually more shocking. The Great Exhibition was to showcase the wonders of new technology. The Industrial Revolution had made United Kingdom the world leaders in mass industrialisation. The Great Exhibition was held in Hyde Park, central London in 1851. Apparently, the construction of the Great Exhibition or Crystal Palace exhibition began in 1850. Yet again, the vast and highly ornate structures were seemingly built very quickly and with tremendous efficiency, just like the other world fairs around the planet. The different plans and proposals were initiated from the 15th of March 1850. And construction was completed for the opening of the festival for the 1st of May 1851. There were 5,000 construction workers apparently building this 26-acre size structure. But you cannot find any photos anywhere of the construction. And you would think to such a major event, this would at least be very well documented, somehow at least. This is of course achievable. Of course the workforce could have done this, but the sheer scale and work is immense. We have to remember that this was the 1850s. Yes, there were some incredible inventions, hydraulics were available, but electricity was not. This is another questionable structure. Was this already in the location? The building had over 6 million people pass through it, and it was made of glass. So this structure would have had to have been very safe and well built. And to build in 1 year is absolutely shocking. When the Great Exhibition or Crystal Palace exhibition was opened by Queen Victoria on the 1st of May 1851, it only lasted for 6 months and was then shut down later that year in October 1851. Apparently, it was then deconstructed and relocated about 15 kilometres to a place called Sydenham Hill in southeast London. How did it get to this location? How could you have taken piece by piece of glass and put it in a horse and cart? And please, in the comments, please correct me if I'm wrong, but please explain to me how that happened. When it was rebuilt at Sydenham Hill, the structure was redesigned to how it looked at Hyde Park and only displayed a floor size of 18 acres. Again, this is a massive, huge structure, and even in the modern world of today, of the 21st century, this would have been a huge architectural achievement. The Crystal Palace was then used as an exhibition space, and then on the 30th of November 1936, the Crystal Palace burnt down. There is now a huge transmitter, a huge aerial built on this site of Crystal Palace, of Sydenham Hill. And the actual reason apparently why Crystal Palace is called Crystal Palace is due to this whole World Fair that happened there. The question I ask is, was the Crystal Palace already there before 1851? How would we ever know? For a building of this size to be deconstructed and then reconstructed 15 kilometers away, I mean, it's just insane. So my conclusion is that this Crystal Palace of the Hyde Park was already actually there. And the same goes for the Sydenham Hill. The Crystal Palace there was actually built already. The construction photos you find online are extensions and additional parts that were built or adapted from the original building. From what I can see in the information that's presented, there seems to be some big holes within the core story, and I don't see how certain things are possible. So there were other World Fairs in London as well, and on the 1st of May 1862, the Great London Exposition, or the International Exhibition of 1862, was held in South Kensington. This event occurred at the same location where the Natural History Museum is now today, which itself is an absolutely incredible architectural structure. This was not like the 1851 exhibition, as the Society of Arts focused on distinctive musical components. The buildings were apparently then demolished straight after the exhibition and moved to areas of Muswell Hill in North London, which became Alexandra Palace. Alexandra Palace still stands today looking out over London, although two large fires have burnt down major parts to this building. Because of the location of Alexandra Palace, you can see for 20 to 30 miles at least, right down to the Dartford Bridge. Even the radio transmitter that was built on the site of Crystal Palace in Sydenham Hill can be seen. So there is certainly some kind of ley line along this spot, which is a major energetic point sitting over London. So here's another building. Again, Alexandra Palace was apparently built in 1865, around the same time. But in the photographs, it would seem there was already some sort of structure there, and this has been changed and adapted. Charles Lucas and Thomas Lucas apparently built Alexandra Palace, and they were the same individuals who created the Royal Albert Hall, which is a whole other rabbit hole. The most interesting feature that was there at the Alexandra Palace is the huge organ pipes, which still remain today. Remember, this was no church or religious building. It would seem it had some very interesting, unique design features. I talked about this in Esoteric Shrines, but this could have very well been some sort of power generator. The design seems to have perfect geometry, and where it's positioned on Muswell Hill, it is aligned to many points within Greater London. Alexandra Palace is still being used today as an exhibition hall for events and concerts, and this has been rebuilt in parts. It's missing the domes, these four domes that it had on the outside, as these were burnt down in the fires. But just like the Crystal Palace location, there is now at Alexandra Palace a huge TV aerial in which the BBC broadcast their first signal of television in 1936 by the famous John Baird. The Crystal Palace location, which is about 15 to 20 kilometers away, was used as a transmitting tower to broadcast this signal. Although we cannot see these transmitting frequencies, they would certainly affect our environments and society in some way. We have to remember everything is frequency. These signals would have disrupted humanity's consciousness more than we know. There is no doubt something very suspicious about all the World Fairs and expositions, all within the Commonwealth countries. As much as they would seem to be a leap in technology in the industrial Victorian age, to some, and advancement in our evolution, these actually seem to be social programs that have actually inverted our consciousness and our well-being. Buildings would not be designed with turrets if they did not have a purpose. The domes and roofs of glass were designed with precious metals and ornate Phoenician sculptures. These designs had architectural influences which had been derived from Great Tartaria. All of this makes you realise that Great Tartaria was not just one single nation. It existed literally everywhere. The reason why the elite have tried to erase the influence of Great Tartaria from the history books is because it was a free energy based civilization. It is important to note that if we did not pay for electricity, how else could the elites maintain control? This is not just about electricity, but also the energy of food, money, and existing here on planet Earth. When you look at the world with open eyes, you will see that we have this magic all around us. But the systems around us dumb us down and teach us to be docile and feel like we have nothing to live for. This is not the truth to reality, and the more you expand the thinking, your thinking, the more you will step out of this old mind pattern. Thank you for watching, everyone. Please remember to check out our latest book, Mysterious Realities, and please subscribe if you haven't already. I'll be doing a lot more on this London series and looking into Tartarian architecture and how it's influenced buildings all over the world. Until next week, I will see you then.